Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It's Saturday, June 14th, 2025, and on Saturdays we talk about sports, sometimes humor, sometimes a little bit of both. So the theme this week has been oceans, and I'm going to conclude our oceans series, our little mini series, by talking about swimming underwater. So I mentioned earlier in the week that I can't remember a time not knowing how to swim. We're evolved from the water, and I feel most comfortable at times in the water and under the water. Might seem strange, but yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I enjoyed swimming until we had to swim competitively, and we had to do two-a-day training. And then when I realized I wasn't heading to the Olympics, it just became quite a chore. But swimming for fun and swimming underwater, swimming out in the ocean, has always been a joy. So years ago, just two quick little anecdotes about this on the swimming side. So when we were competitive swimmers, we had to train, like I said, when you got a little bit older, you had to train twice a day before and after school. But I remember one of my earliest memories, I should say, was when I was a youngster, swimming as an 8 and under. And of course, we were just the babies of the swim team. And we had a coach, I had a coach in particular, Jean Rockner. She just passed away last year. She was one of my first coaches in swimming, and she taught us, proper technique and rhythm and breathing, etc. And just I remember this vague memory of her saying one day, we always worked out hard, and then towards the end, you got tired or bored or combination of both, and you wanted the practice to be over. So I remember once she asked us, or she put the challenge before us, if anybody can swim one length underwater, the full length, then you can go home, you can quit. And I remember saying, oh, I think I can do that. Again, it was 8 years old. So she said, okay, go ahead and try. So I did. I dove in and I swam breaststroke, because that's the typical stroke that you swim underwater. At the time, this is before we really knew about, we knew about the dolphin kick, but it hadn't really been implemented into swimming the way it is today for breaststrokers even. So in fact, it wasn't allowed. But in any event, I swam the full length of the pool. It was a 25-meter pool. Maybe it was 25 yards, actually, because it was indoor. And I swam the whole thing underwater, and I finished, and she was a little bit surprised and impressed. And she said, okay, you can go home, Joe, you're done. So yeah, that was my first little victory of underwater swimming. And then as I got older, excuse me, I didn't really think that much about it. But then I decided one time I was lifeguarding in the summertime, and it was just a slow day. I don't know what was happening, but I decided, hey, I wonder how far I can go underwater. So I was 19, maybe 20 years old at the time. And I just, without too much preparation or without much thought, I just dove in and started swimming across the pool. And I ended up going, it was a 25-meter pool. This I remember for sure. It was an outdoor pool. And I swam down, and then I came back. And I thought, oh, let's keep going. And then I swam down again. And I went 3 lengths of the pool. So it was about 75 meters. And I thought, oh, that's not bad. And that's without training, without proper technique, and etc. But I thought that's pretty cool. That's as far as I've ever gone. So I decided to look up just recently, well, how far can people swim underwater? And it turns out, of course, there's a whole series of rules and regulations and techniques and what have you, and even different classes. So there's swimming with fins and swimming without fins, etc. But I finally found the answer I was looking for, which is what's the world record for how far people could swim underwater without fins. So basically replicating what I did. And as it turns out, it's about 9 lengths of the pool, of a 25-meter pool. So I thought, well, I didn't do too badly. So, with 3 lengths. But here's what it sort of looks like. Let me just switch the view up here. So yeah, this is the swimming for the longest distance underwater. And so this is what it looks like. So it is a breaststroke.
25, okay.
So you notice the streamline technique there, and my technique was horrible by comparison because I was just swimming normal breaststroke, which is you pull and kick, you come up and you pull again and you kick, and I was doing that sort of continuously. So that's using up a lot of oxygen. You'll see what they're doing here is they're streamlining and going as long and as far as they can, keeping up a certain glide, and then they kick, glide some more, and then pull again, and so on. So they try to keep the maximum time in that tight, straight, as you see on the screen there, streamlined position. So least water resistance you're going through, and at the same time you're trying not to stroke very often because that's where you use up so much of your oxygen. All right, so yeah, it's fascinating. So in this particular case, it's Goran Colak. He set this record then of 225 meters, exactly 9 lengths of the 25-meter pool, and yeah, it's quite remarkable. And then, as it turns out, there's one other guy who since broke that. His name is Matus Malina, and he went 9 lengths of the pool and then an additional 7 meters. So I think that's the world record. I could be wrong, but it looks like it's 232 meters. So my 75 meters pales by comparison. But a couple of other notes, though. They also have, you can see there, they've got a wetsuit on and no hair. And, so again, they're trying to figure out the ways to minimize the water resistance in all of their technique and so on. I should point out, too, that because they're doing this in a 25-meter pool, that means they're also touching the wall, turning, and then getting a nice strong push off of the wall. So I'm really curious to know, and I don't know if this is being done, and I actually didn't really look it up. I didn't spend too much time looking for it. But how far can you go just swimming in a straight line underwater in some controlled environment without pushing off a wall? So I'm sure that's out there. That's got to be out there somewhere. But this is, as I say, in a 25-meter pool. But this very much replicates what I'd tried to do years ago. So there's your challenge. See how far you can swim underwater on one breath. And that would be quite remarkable. If you could do 50 meters or further, you're quite the swimmer, and you've got a pretty good lung capacity too. So, okay, that's it for today. Short and sweet. And as ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance, including to your local swimmer. And we'll see you soon.